Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. I am Six Path Weeb, and today we dive into an exciting fanfic topic. What if a forbidden Kekkei Genkai made Naruko invincible? Part 2. Disclaimer: the content on this channel is for entertainment and discussion purposes only. I do not own any of the anime footage used in my videos. All rights and credits go to their respective creators and copyright holders. Let's get started. Ichiraku Ramen in Konoha. Kiba, Shino, Hinata, Sakura, Ino, Shikamaru, and Choji were all sitting at the counter eating ramen and waiting for Hinata to share what Naruko had said. Sakura stopped eating and looked at Hinata. "So, are you going to tell us how long you've liked Naruko?" She already knew the answer, but wasn't sure if anyone else did. Hinata blushed softly. Ever since the academy." Everyone nodded in understanding, and Ino spoke next. "Well, Hinata, I am so jealous. Naruko gave you such a beautiful necklace." Shikamaru sighed and muttered, "Darn it, Naruko. You're making things troublesome." Hinata smiled shyly. "Oh really, Ino?" Ino nodded enthusiastically. Kiba frowned. "I think she's tricky. You don't give something so special and then leave, especially knowing Naruko. She might just forget about us and stay in Kumo." Sakura smacked Kiba gently on the head. "Shut up, Kiba." Hinata reassured him. "Don't worry, Kiba-kun. Naruko promised she would come back when she was stronger." Shino put a hand on Hinata's shoulder. "I believe you, Hinata. Knowing Naruko, she will come back. We all know she loves this village." Everyone nodded, feeling comforted. Then Sakura remembered something that made her a little envious too. "So, Hinata, was I imagining things, or did Naruko give you a kiss on the cheek?" Sakura draped her arm around Hinata. Hinata's face turned bright red. "Why yes." Kiba jumped from his stool. "What?" he shouted. "I can't believe her." He stormed out of Ichiraku's, shaking his head in disbelief. Everyone watched him go, and Shino quickly followed to calm him down. "I'm happy for you, Hinata. I'll try to cool Kiba down. Good night, everyone." He waved and left. Hinata tried to get up, but Ino grabbed her hand. "Hinata, you are so lucky. I wish someone would give me a kiss like that." She was staring dreamily into space. Eventually, everyone finished their ramen and left, smiles lingering as they walked home. The next morning in the small village. Naruko, Koga, and Izak were getting dressed after waking up. "Guys, leave your headbands in your bags," Izak advised. "We don't want to draw attention." He untied his headband, tucked it away, and then pulled on his white flak jacket, strapping on his sword and bag. Koga and Naruko nodded and put theirs away too. Koga wore his red flak jacket and grabbed his bag, following Izak out of the room. Naruko sat on the bed, holding a picture of the old Team 7. She sighed. "I have to let go of the past to make room for a brighter future." She tore the picture in half, tossing it into the trash, and zipped up her half flak jacket. She slung her bag over her shoulder and joined her friends downstairs. Outside, the trio began walking down the lively village street, glancing at colorful shop windows. Izak suggested, "We'd move faster without these bags. How about buying some ceiling scrolls?" "Good idea," Naruko said, nodding. Just then, Koga noticed a small shinobi store at the end of the street. "Hey, isn't it strange to see a ninja shop in a village with no ninja?" Koga wondered aloud. Naruko thought for a moment. "Not really. This country has a hidden village, so traveling ninja might need supplies. The shop probably makes life easier for them. And maybe a little profit too." Inside, the store looked cozy but well stocked. Racks of ninja clothing lined the right wall, and shelves of tools, scrolls, and ninja gear filled the left. Naruko headed straight to the clothing. "Koga, Naruko, do you really need more clothes?" Izak asked, curious. "No, I just want to check something," she said mysteriously, disappearing between the racks. Koga and Izak waited patiently. An hour later, Koga muttered, "We shouldn't have left her. She said 5 more minutes. That was 30. Before Izak could go get her, Naruko emerged, her eyes sparkling. She now wore a black full flak vest with matching arm and leg braces, and a black bandana across her forehead instead of her usual headband. "Wow, Naruko, what's with the gear?" Koga asked in awe. Naruko grinned. "I liked it, so I got it." Izak handed her a small scroll. "Seal your bag into this." "How?" she asked. "Just add chakra and push it in," Izak explained. Naruko concentrated, channeling her chakra into the scroll. With a soft puff of smoke, her bag vanished. That was easy, she laughed. Yes, and now let's pump chakra into our legs and go, Isaac said. The three friends ran together, their laughter echoing through the trees as they left the village behind, ready for whatever adventures awaited. It had been some time since Team Zabuza had left the village. They were about 2 miles from Kumo and were starting to tire out. They stopped to catch their breath when they heard someone land softly behind them. Looks like some travelers are taking a break to rest. Too bad we're going to catch them, one of the men said, standing a few feet behind Team Zabuza. The other was right next to him. Yeah, they won't even put up that much of a fight, the second man added. That's what you think, Naruko said with a grin. She did a backflip behind them and drew 2 kunai from her holster. Isaac turned around and smiled when he noticed their Kumo headbands with scratches on them. Koga smiled and started forming hand seals. Oh, so you are ninja. Even more fun. The 2 missing nin shouted as they drew their swords from their backs and charged at Koga and Isaac. Isaac dodged and drew his sword, parrying a swing from one of the attackers. As the other ninja prepared to strike Koga, Naruko let her 2 kunai fly. The ninja had to swing his sword backward to block them. Koga noticed an opening, stopped her hand seals, drew 3 kunai, and threw them. One landed between the ninja's eyes, and the other 2 lodged harmlessly into his knees, stopping his advance. Isaac ducked under a swing and delivered a firm push, sending the ninja stumbling back. Hope you're ready to be stopped, Isaac said, readying another kunai, when the ninja yelled something. Lightning release, electrospark. He held his palms out, sending 2 bolts of harmless, crackling lightning toward Isaac. Isaac dodged, barely brushing against one. Naruko threw 4 more kunai, and Koga finished her hand seals. Illusion of many shadows. The ninja tried to stand, thinking Naruko was right in front of him. But 3 kunai landed near his shoulders, and one gently tapped his head, stopping him completely. Naruko walked over, picked up her kunai, and helped remove the others from the dazed ninja. That was fun, wasn't it? Koga laughed. I wonder what rank those ninja were? Isaac was about to answer when 4 masked figures dropped gracefully to the ground near them. One of them spoke. They were low-level missing nin in the bingo book. We had been tracking them for a while and were waiting for the perfect moment to intervene. We've also been following you 3 ever since you crossed into Lightning Country. Naruko tilted her head. You must be Anbu from Kumo. The Anbu nodded. I will escort you to Kumo and take you to the Raikage so you can speak with him. Team Zabuza exchanged looks, and Naruko shrugged. Fine. We'll go with you. All 7 ninja made their way quickly toward Kumo. Council room. The council room was filled with all the civilian council members and Danzo. They were discussing how to handle a Jinchuriki who had recently gained a special bloodline. So it is settled, Danzo said. I will send my root Anbu to handle this situation before the Chunin exams. The civilians nodded enthusiastically, thinking the plan would protect their village. Raikage's office. Team Zabuza now stood in front of the Yondaime Raikage. Why have you 3 come to Kumagakure? He asked, skeptical. They knelt with heads bowed in respect. Naruko, being the unofficial leader of her team, raised her head to speak. Raikage-sama, my team and I are missing nin from Konoha. We've come looking to join your ranks. We wish to be part of a village we hold in high respect. She then lowered her head again. I see, he said, opening the newest version of the bingo book. You 3 are listed as low C rank missing nin. Isaac spoke. We do have one condition, though. What condition? He asked. Isaac smirked. We may only be here a short time. We plan to return to Konohagakure. We didn't leave because we did anything wrong, we only wanted to train. Naruko is a Jinchuriki, and Koga and I are some of the last of the original Whirlpool ninja. He raised an eyebrow. Is that so? Naruko, what creature is sealed inside you? Naruko gulped but answered truthfully. I contain the 9-tailed fox. He smiled. I have decided. You 3 will be temporary Jinan of the village hidden in the clouds and will take part in the Chunin exams being held in Konoha in 1 month. I will have a Jonin sent to your hotel to give you Kumo gear and missions, and I will also assign trainers. Team Zabuza looked up, smiling. Naruko stood. Thank you, Raikage-sama. Head to your hotel, a Jonin will meet you there soon, he said. Team Zabuza left for the city hotel, eager to begin their new adventure. Afterward, he pressed a button and spoke into a microphone. Please call for Daru. Yes, E-sama, came the reply. E sat back, smirking. He had plans for the new Kumo Jinan. Konoha, Hokage's office. Zabuza and Kakashi stood before Sarutobi. Kakashi looked frustrated, while Zabuza tried not to laugh. What is it, Kakashi? Sarutobi asked. Kakashi looked between them. Why did you make Naruko a missing nin? Sarutobi and Zabuza exchanged glances. If she hadn't been sent away, she would have been in danger, Zabuza said calmly. Kakashi slammed his hands on the table. She could have stayed here and trained safely. Zabuza chuckled. She isn't your student anymore. And she never will be again. Kakashi looked down, realizing Zabuza was correct. We sent her to Kumo because she has lightning chakra, Sarutobi explained. There, she can learn from the experts. Kakashi sighed. I could have taught her lightning chakra. Yes, but Kumo is better suited, Zabuza said, standing. I'm going out for training. Look for me in the Forest of Death if you need me. He left, and Kakashi bowed. Thank you for the explanation, Hokage-sama. Sarutobi sighed. This is a challenge. Thunder in Kumagakure. Naruko and her teammates were lying on their beds, waiting patiently. The room was quiet, the sun just beginning to peek through the window. They had been waiting about 10 minutes for their jonin to arrive. Just as Naruko opened her mouth to speak, there was a gentle knock at the door. All three ninja jumped slightly. Naruko, feeling a bit nervous but curious, stepped forward. She opened the door to reveal a man with tan skin and striking white hair, wearing the uniform of Kumo and a jonin vest. Hi, who are you? Naruko asked politely, her eyes wide with curiosity. The man smiled warmly. I am Daru. The Raikage sent me to meet you three. Naruko nodded and stepped aside. Of course. Please come in. Izak and Koga rose and bowed respectfully. Naruko introduced herself proudly. I am Naruko Uzumaki. These are my teammates, Izak and Koga. Daru nodded. It is a pleasure to meet you. The Raikage wants me to help guide your training while you are in Kumo. I also have something for each of you. He handed them 3 Kumo headbands. Naruko felt a surge of pride as she tied hers around her forehead. So, when do we start training? Naruko asked, her eyes sparkling with excitement. Daru laughed. Not just yet. First, I need to understand your abilities. The training field. Daru led the team to a wide, sunny training field and perched atop a tall wooden pole. Tell me about your skills, starting with you, Naruko, he said kindly. Naruko straightened. I have a special bloodline called Shadow Eyes. It allows me to absorb the knowledge of other bloodlines, especially from powerful techniques. For example, I recently absorbed an ice manipulation ability. It also gives me excellent vision in the dark, though bright light can make me nearly blind for a while. I want to train more to fully understand it. Daru nodded, intrigued. Very impressive. What else? Naruko smiled shyly. I'm average at taijutsu, my genjutsu is mostly sensing and releasing illusions, and I have a natural affinity for lightning. I want to learn kenjutsu to balance my fighting style. Excellent, Daru said. Kumo is the perfect place to train those abilities. He turned to Izak. And you? Izak spoke with quiet pride. I have a unique bloodline as well, which lets me control my chakra in ways most people cannot. My taijutsu and genjutsu are average, but my specialty is kenjutsu. Daru smiled, impressed. 2 unique bloodlines on one team. That's rare. Koga piped up eagerly. I don't have a bloodline, but I specialize in genjutsu. I also know some water techniques, and my taijutsu is average. Daru jumped down from the pole. Perfect. I have a training plan ready for you all until the Chunin exams. Naruko's eyes lit up. Tell us. For you, Naruko, Daru said, morning hours will focus on your bloodline and ice techniques. Midday, you'll train lightning chakra with me, and later, you'll practice kenjutsu. The rest of the day is yours to explore teamwork exercises with your teammates. Naruko nodded. Sounds amazing. I'm ready. Daru smiled at her enthusiasm. The other 2 will train under different jonin, as I specialize in kenjutsu and ninjutsu. But before your training begins, you need to meet 2 very special ninja. Raikage's office. Naruko, Izak, and Koga entered the office and bowed respectfully. Before them stood 2 extraordinary ninja. A blonde woman stepped forward confidently, her hair braided neatly. She wore black shorts and a matching shirt, her forehead protector shining. I am Yugito ni, Jinchuriki of the Two-Tailed Cat. I am a Jonin of Kumagakure. Naruko's eyes widened. She had never met another Jinchuriki before. She's like me. I thought I was alone. Then a tall, muscular man stepped forward, carrying several swords and wearing a white Jonin uniform. I am Killer B, Jinchuriki of the Eight-Tailed Ox and younger brother of the Yondaime Reikage. Also a Jonin of Kumo. The three Genin were awestruck. 2 Jinchuriki in one village. Izak, quick to recover, bowed to Yugito. It is an honor to meet you, he said politely. Yugito smiled warmly, though a little surprised at his gesture. Koga, meanwhile, muttered under her breath, what a show-off. Naruko, feeling shy but respectful, bowed to both Yugito and Killer B. I look forward to learning from everyone here. The older ninja laughed at the young Genin's reactions. Yugito blushed, hiding a smile, while Killer B chuckled heartily. Daru whispered to Killer B, help her control the demon inside her. She has an amazing bloodline, and combined with her Jinchuriki power, she could become very strong. Killer B nodded, giving Naruko an encouraging grin. We'll make sure you shine. The Reikage watched quietly, thinking. With these unique abilities in Kumo, the future looks bright. Naruko felt a spark of excitement. This was just the beginning of her amazing journey. With Team Daru. Team Daru had returned to the hotel and were resting. Naruko was sitting on the edge of her bed, looking down at her hands. A lot had happened in such a short time. She had already faced her first real challenge in the field, and while it hadn't scared her, she could still remember how tense it had been. Koga was lying on his bed, reading a newspaper, before glancing up at his teammates. So, Naruko, we haven't gotten to talk about your fight with the Konoha ninja. But I swear I saw you use ice in your battle. Izak nodded. Yeah, I didn't know you could control ice with your bloodline. I thought your eyes would just give you better vision in the dark. Naruko shook her head. No, my bloodline is something very different, something even Zabuza doesn't fully understand. I can absorb abilities from others, but it's tricky and takes a lot of concentration. Koga frowned. That sounds hard. How did you get the ice ability? Naruko hesitated, and Izak placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. You don't have to tell us if it's too personal. We get that it's not just hard physically, but emotionally too. He gave Koga a look that said, maybe think before asking next time. Naruko gave a small smile, though a hint of thoughtfulness lingered in her eyes. She began telling the story of her first C-rank mission, how her bloodline had awakened, and how much she had learned about herself in that short time. Her teammates listened quietly, proud of how far she had come. Back in Konoha. Sakura was walking home from training with what remained of Team 7. Without Naruko, the team didn't feel complete. She had never fully noticed how Naruko had been the glue holding everyone together. Since Naruko and her team had overcome the challenges from Konoha's missions, Sasuke had started training even harder. Kakashi, too, had begun paying more attention to Sakura during practice, and she felt encouraged. But Sakura also realized something troubling. She had been one of the reasons Naruko had felt pushed away. She had been so focused on Sasuke that she hadn't seen Naruko's efforts or her feelings. As Sakura walked, she heard a familiar voice calling, Sakura. She turned to see Ino running toward her. Yes, Ino? Sakura asked, her voice carrying a soft sadness. Ino immediately sensed her friend's mood. Sakura, what's wrong? Sakura looked down. I can't believe Naruko hasn't come back yet. I feel like I pushed her away, and I regret it. She wiped her eyes. Ino knelt beside her. Sakura, she's only been gone a few days. She's training hard, and she'll come back soon. It's not your fault. I actually heard Asuma-sensei talking to Zabuza-sensei about Naruko. Sakura's eyes widened. What were they saying? Ino smiled. Zabuza said she left to train, not because of anyone in the village. The training she needed was only in Kumagakure. Sakura's face lit up. She went to train, not because she hated us? Ino nodded. Sakura leapt with joy and started running, eager to support her friend, while Ino watched her go, smiling at her renewed energy. 3 weeks later, mountains of lightning country. 4 shinobi were dashing through a mountain pass. 2 of them wore similar outfits, only the color of their flak jackets differed, one red, the other white. The third and fourth wore different attire, with one adult dressed in a typical Kumo Jonin outfit, while the fourth, Naruko, wore something entirely unique. Naruko had her Kumo headband covering her eyes lightly and a half-face mask over her mouth. Her black long-sleeve shirt had flowing straps, giving her a striking and adventurous look, while her camo pants and boots were perfect for moving swiftly through the mountains. The other three kept a careful distance behind her. Koga muttered, "This is tricky. There's no way these are just ordinary travelers if we haven't caught up yet." Izak nodded silently, keeping his focus on Naruko up ahead. The adult ninja, leading the group, said, "As you know, Naruko has changed a lot since training with Killer Bee and Yugito." Koga rolled his eyes. "A lot? She's almost a different person." The adult smiled. "Ever since Naruko formed a bond with the demon inside her, she's grown more confident. Killer Bee says it will help her control her abilities better as time goes on." Koga huffed. "Still, she's intimidating sometimes." Izak chuckled. "It's exciting, though. As long as she keeps having adventures, she's in her element." Suddenly, Naruko called back, "We found them." All four ninja approached a small group of mischievous mountain bandits, but instead of fighting, Naruko smiled warmly. "Hello. Let's settle this without trouble." Her teammates watched as Naruko gracefully led the bandits away from the path, helping them find a safer route back to the village and turning a potentially chaotic encounter into a moment of kindness. Koga whispered to Izak, "She's incredible. Even when things get complicated, she finds a way to help everyone." Izak nodded. "That's Naruko for you, always turning challenges into lessons, and making the world a little brighter." Naruko stood in front of two black-haired twins who looked almost exactly alike. "Look, brother, some little Jinan thinks she can beat us," one twin said with a mischievous grin. The other nodded, and they both laughed. Naruko, however, wasn't scared, she was determined. She took a deep breath and made a few hand seals. With a flick of her fingers, sparkling ice needles appeared, but instead of being dangerous, they transformed into tiny floating ice lanterns that twirled in the air like fireworks. The twins gasped and ducked, trying to dodge the glowing lanterns, which bounced harmlessly around them. Naruko giggled and twirled her knife, though instead of harming anyone, it glowed bright blue and created dazzling trails of light with every swing. "You might want to watch your step," Naruko called playfully. The twins, realizing this was no ordinary opponent, exchanged nervous glances. Naruko used her skill to carefully guide the lanterns so they surrounded the twins, gently trapping them in a sparkling maze of ice and light. Both twins laughed nervously, impressed by her creativity. Word had been spreading through the elemental nations about a particularly clever team of Jinan who solved problems in the most unusual ways. In Kumagakure, people were excited, and a little nervous, to see what Naruko and her friends would do. Later, the team came across a tall man with short blue hair. He wore a slightly torn headband, marking him as a mischievous wanderer. "Looks like Kumagakure sent their newest and cleverest team," he said with a smile. "I've heard of Team Daru." Naruko stepped forward, her friends Koga and Izak flanking her. "Ready, team? Let's show him our routine," she called. Koga waved her hands, creating an illusion that made it look like the forest around them had turned into a giant playground of floating platforms and sparkling bubbles. The man blinked in surprise and laughter. Izak jumped forward and gently tied colorful ribbons around the man, not to trap him, but to playfully hold him in place while he couldn't resist the fun chaos of the illusion. Naruko grinned and revealed her shadow eyes, but instead of fear, they created a vision of twinkling stars and floating clouds, giving the man the sensation of flying through a magical sky. "What is this?" the man said, awe in his voice as he looked around at the magical playground. "It's incredible." Naruko laughed. "Sometimes, the best way to win isn't by fighting, it's by making the world a little more magical." The team worked together to guide the man safely out of the illusion, helping him see the fun and wonder in his surroundings. By the time he left, he was smiling ear to ear, promising to use his cleverness for good from now on. Team Daru cheered, proud of Naruko's leadership and creativity. They returned to Kumagakure, excited to see what new adventures and clever solutions awaited them next. The elemental nations would always remember the day Naruko and her friends proved that kindness, imagination, and teamwork could solve any problem. As Team Daru walked back toward Kumagakure, Naruko paused and looked up at the sky. Fluffy clouds floated lazily, but one cloud looked strange, it shimmered with tiny golden sparks. "Do you see that?" Naruko asked, pointing. Koga squinted, and Izak tilted his head. "It looks magical," Izak said. Naruko's eyes sparkled. "I have a feeling an adventure is waiting for us there. Let's check it out." The team climbed a nearby hill, and as they got closer, the shimmering cloud began to descend. To their amazement, it transformed into a small, glowing creature with wings like sunlight and eyes as bright as sapphires. "Hello. The creature chimed in a musical voice. I'm Lumina, the cloud sprite. I need help, my friends are lost in the sky forest, and I can't reach them alone. Naruko smiled warmly. Don't worry, Lumina. We'll help you find them. Right, team? Koga and Izak nodded eagerly. With Naruko leading the way, the team jumped onto the soft cloud, which carried them high above the village. The wind whistled past them, but Naruko held on tight, her laughter echoing through the sky. They soon arrived at the sky forest, a place where trees glowed with silver leaves and flowers hummed gentle melodies. But the forest was tricky, paths twisted and turned, and little magical creatures darted between the branches, hiding in playful mischief. Naruko thought for a moment, then raised her hands. She formed a hand seal, and a circle of sparkling light appeared around the team, illuminating hidden paths. Follow me, she called. The team carefully navigated the glowing trails, helping Lumina's friends, tiny cloud sprites tangled in vines and laughing as Naruko and her friends freed them. Every time a sprite was saved, it twirled in the air and sprinkled golden dust that made the leaves shimmer even brighter. Finally, the last sprite floated free, landing gently on Naruko's shoulder. Thank you. Lumina cheered. You all have hearts as bright as the sun. The sky forest will always remember your kindness. Naruko grinned. Adventure is always better when we help others, she said. Koga and Izak nodded, smiling at how their teamwork had turned a tricky situation into a magical rescue. As they floated back to Kumagakure on the soft cloud, Naruko looked at the horizon. I wonder what other wonders are waiting for us out there, she whispered, already imagining the next magical adventure. And so, Team Daru continued their journey, proving that courage, creativity, and kindness could make even the most unexpected challenges into exciting adventures. A few days after helping Lumina and her friends, Naruko and Team Daru were walking along the edge of a sparkling river in Kumagakure when suddenly, the sky above them shimmered. A huge floating island slowly drifted down from the clouds. Its surface was covered in glowing flowers, twisting vines, and mysterious doors carved into the rocks. Wow! It's beautiful, Koga whispered. Izak's eyes widened. And it looks like it's full of secrets. Naruko's eyes sparkled. Team, this looks like a place made for an adventure. Let's explore. As they stepped onto the floating island, the ground beneath them sparkled like stardust. The first challenge appeared immediately, a large stone door with a riddle carved into it. Naruko read aloud. I am not alive, but I can grow. I have no mouth, but I can glow. What am I? Izak thought for a moment. Something that glows but isn't alive. A crystal? Naruko grinned. Yes. Let's try it. She reached out and touched the carved word crystal in the stone. With a rumble and a flash of light, the door slowly opened, revealing a sparkling garden inside. Inside the garden, glowing butterflies danced in the air. But another puzzle awaited, a bridge made of floating platforms that moved up and down, as if the island was testing their balance. Naruko laughed. All right, team, this is a teamwork challenge. Koga, you go first and test the timing. Izak, be ready to help me guide everyone. With careful steps and laughter, the team hopped from platform to platform. Naruko's shadow eyes shimmered gently, showing the safest path, and soon, they reached the other side without a single stumble. At the center of the island, a giant tree stood, its branches sparkling with rainbow fruits. But there was one more challenge, a mischievous talking fox sat on a branch, blocking the fruits. I guard the rainbow fruit. The fox declared. Only those with cleverness and kindness may pick them. Naruko stepped forward. We can solve this together. She listened as the fox gave riddles and playful challenges, like catching falling glowing leaves and arranging flowers in rainbow order. With teamwork and laughter, Naruko and her friends completed every challenge. Finally, the fox bowed. You've proven yourselves. The rainbow fruits are yours. May they bring happiness and magic wherever you go. Naruko picked a small glowing fruit and held it up. Team, this isn't just a treasure, it's a reminder that courage, kindness, and teamwork can turn any challenge into a magical adventure. As they floated back to Kumagakure on the cloud with Lumina guiding them, Naruko smiled. She knew that every new challenge would be an opportunity to learn, play, and make the world a little brighter. Naruko and the Whispering Forest. After their adventure on the floating island, Naruko and Team Daru returned to Kumagakure, their hearts still sparkling with excitement. But Naruko noticed something unusual near the edge of the village, a faint, glowing trail weaving into the nearby forest. Look at that, she said, pointing. It's like the forest is calling us. Koga tilted her head. Calling us? You mean? Literally? Naruko grinned. Let's find out. The trio followed the glowing trail deep into the forest. Soon, the trees began to shimmer with soft lights, and gentle whispers filled the air. But the forest wasn't empty. Tiny, glowing creatures with wings like petals darted between the branches. They looked curious, but a little nervous. Suddenly, one of the glowing creatures floated to Naruko's shoulder. "Hello," it said in a tiny, musical voice. "I am Luma, the forest guide. Our forest is in trouble. The whispering trees are losing their magic, and only clever hearts can help restore it." Naruko's eyes sparkled. "Team, this is our next adventure. Let's help the whispering forest." The forest presented them with their first challenge, a circle of talking mushrooms, each asking a riddle before allowing the team to pass. One mushroom asked, "I fly without wings, I cry without eyes. What am I?" Naruko thought for a moment and then smiled. "A cloud. The answer is a cloud." The mushroom chuckled. "Correct. You may pass." As they continued, the forest led them to a sparkling river filled with rainbow-colored fish. But the bridge across the river had vanished. The fish, however, were playful and kind. Naruko realized they could create stepping stones by carefully guiding the fish into a pattern. With teamwork and laughter, Koga and Izak helped Naruko arrange the fish, forming a living bridge that shimmered in every color of the rainbow. On the other side, they reached the heart of the forest, the oldest whispering tree. Its branches drooped, and its glow was faint. Naruko stepped forward and placed her hands gently on the trunk. "We're here to help," she whispered. The tree responded with a soft hum, and golden seeds began to fall. Naruko and her friends carefully planted them, whispering encouraging words as they worked. Slowly, the forest began to shimmer brighter, the leaves twinkling like stars, and the glowing creatures danced in joy. Luma flew around them, singing happily. "You've restored the magic of the whispering forest. Your courage, cleverness, and kindness have saved us all." Naruko smiled, looking at her friends. "Every adventure is better when we work together. And I can't wait to see what the next one will be." The forest whispered its thanks, and the glowing trail led them safely back to Kumagakure, ready for the next magical adventure. As Naruko and her friends walked back from the whispering forest, the sky suddenly darkened, not with storm clouds, but with a swirling vortex of shimmering colors. A gentle wind lifted them off the ground, and before they could react, a glowing portal opened above them. "Whoa! What is that?" Koga shouted, holding onto her hat.
I don't know," Naruko replied, her eyes wide with wonder.
"But it looks magical. And mysterious." Before anyone could step back, a swirl of sparkling lights wrapped around them, lifting them into the air. When the light faded, they found themselves on a floating island unlike anything they had ever seen. This island was enormous, with waterfalls that flowed upward, trees that floated in mid-air, and bridges made of rainbow-colored vines that twisted and turned impossibly through the clouds. "What? Where are we?" Izak whispered, his jaw dropped in amazement. A deep, melodic voice echoed across the island. "Welcome, clever travelers. I am Arion, keeper of the Sky Labyrinth. Only those who solve the trials of the labyrinth can unlock its secrets." Naruko's eyes sparkled with excitement. "A labyrinth. And it looks magical. Team, are you ready?" Koga and Izak nodded, and the trio stepped forward. But as soon as they moved, the island began to change. Paths shifted under their feet, doors appeared and vanished, and glowing runes hovered in the air, waiting to be solved. Every corner brought a new challenge, puzzles that required creativity, riddles that tested cleverness, and obstacles that could only be passed through teamwork. The twist came when they reached the heart of the labyrinth, a giant mirror that reflected not their faces, but their deepest fears and doubts. Each of them saw images of failure, loneliness, and worry. Naruko took a deep breath. "Team. This is part of the trial. We have to face it together." Using their imagination and friendship, Koga turned the reflections into playful illusions, Izak wove sparkling ribbons of light to guide them, and Naruko used her cleverness to transform the mirror into a window of possibilities, showing not fears, but courage, hope, and fun adventures ahead. The mirror shimmered and then dissolved into a path of glowing starlight. At the end of the path floated a chest containing a small, floating creature with wings of light. "Thank you for freeing me," it said, bouncing in joy. "I am Solara, guardian of the labyrinth's magic. Because of your courage and teamwork, the labyrinth's secrets are now open to the world." Naruko grinned, holding Solara gently in her hands. "Looks like our adventures just got even bigger. And even more magical." The portal closed behind them, leaving the team on a new floating island filled with wonders yet to be discovered. The adventure was far from over, and Naruko knew that with her friends by her side, anything was possible. Just as Naruko and Team Daru were exploring the floating island with Solara, a sudden gust of sparkling wind swept past them. From the mist appeared a figure dressed in flowing robes that shimmered like the night sky. She had silver hair that sparkled like starlight, and her eyes glowed a soft lavender. Who are you? Naruko asked, stepping forward bravely. The figure bowed gracefully. I am Solara, keeper of the Twilight Games. I have been watching you, Naruko, and I am curious. Are you clever enough to face my challenges? Naruko's eyes lit up. Challenges? I love challenges. Right, team? Koga and Izak nodded eagerly, though a little nervous. Solara smiled mysteriously. These are no ordinary games. They will test your creativity, your courage, and your teamwork. If you succeed, the island's greatest secrets will be revealed. But if you fail, you must start the trial again. Naruko grinned. That's perfect. Let's do it. The first challenge appeared, a field of glowing flowers that changed colors every few seconds. A path through the field could only appear if the colors were matched in the correct pattern. Each wrong step caused the flowers to laugh and shift around, making the path disappear. Naruko thought quickly, pointing to Koga and Izak. We need to work together, watch the colors, and I'll call the steps. Using teamwork and sharp observation, they hopped carefully across the field, matching the glowing flowers' patterns. Each time they succeeded, the flowers clapped their petals, creating a sparkling melody that echoed across the island. Next came a puzzle of floating platforms that rearranged themselves like a giant moving maze. Solara's voice floated from above, you must find the hidden key by thinking not with your eyes, but with your heart. Naruko laughed. A puzzle for the heart? Team, that's easy for us. She closed her eyes and imagined the key glowing warmly. Koga and Izak followed her lead, and soon, a golden key appeared, floating gently in front of them. Solara appeared before them again, smiling wider than before. You have done well. But the final challenge awaits, the mirror of choices. It will show not just your fears, but your dreams. Only by believing in yourselves and each other can you pass. Naruko stepped forward confidently. Team, we've faced puzzles, illusions, and challenges together. Let's show this mirror what we can do. As they faced the mirror of choices, it shimmered and reflected not worries or doubts, but images of Naruko, Koga, and Izak laughing, helping others, and exploring magical lands. The mirror glowed brighter and brighter, until suddenly, it shattered into millions of tiny stars that danced around them. Solara clapped her hands. Incredible! You have passed all the Twilight Games. The island's secrets are now yours to explore freely. You are true adventurers of courage, cleverness, and kindness. Naruko hugged her friends. This was amazing. And just think. The adventure isn't over yet. Who knows what magical lands are waiting for us next? With a twirl of her hand, Solara created a glowing map of the floating island, showing hidden paths, sparkling treasures, and mysterious doors. The team's eyes widened in wonder. The world was full of magic, puzzles, and surprises, and Naruko and her friends were ready for all of it. After days of exploring the floating island, solving magical puzzles, and meeting whimsical creatures, Naruko and Team Daru stood at the highest cliff of the island. Below them, the clouds shimmered in gold and pink, reflecting the glow of the setting sun. Solara fluttered beside Naruko, her wings sparkling like morning light, and even Solara, the mysterious keeper of the Twilight Games, had appeared to watch the sunset. Naruko looked at her friends and smiled. Team. We've faced so many challenges, puzzles, and magical surprises together. And we did it all with courage, cleverness, and kindness. Koga laughed softly. I never imagined an adventure could be this fun. And this magical. Izak nodded. And we learned that even the trickiest challenges can be solved when we work together. Solara stepped forward, her lavender eyes shining. Naruko, you have brought light to the floating island. The magic here will always remember your kindness and bravery. But the greatest magic isn't in the island. It's in your hearts and the bond you share with your friends. Naruko felt warmth spread through her chest. That's true. Every adventure. Every puzzle. Every challenge. It was better because we were together. Solara twirled in the air, leaving a trail of sparkling stars behind. The world is full of magic, Naruko. And now, you carry some of it with you wherever you go. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the floating island shimmered and slowly lifted back into the clouds. Naruko, Koga, and Izak held hands, watching the magical land fade into the sky, knowing that its wonders would always remain in their hearts. Naruko took a deep breath, her eyes glowing with excitement and hope. This isn't the end, she said softly. It's just the beginning. There are so many magical lands to explore, so many friends to meet, and so many adventures waiting for us. The wind whispered through the trees, carrying the soft glow of the floating island. It was as if the world itself was smiling at them, promising new journeys, new discoveries, and endless possibilities. And so, Naruko and Team Daru returned to Kumagakure, their hearts full of magic, friendship, and courage. Wherever they went, they brought light, laughter, and the power of teamwork, knowing that as long as they stayed together, every adventure, no matter how mysterious or magical, would be beautiful. The sun set behind them, painting the sky with colors as vibrant as their dreams. And in that moment, Naruko knew one truth: the world is a wonderful place, and every heart has the power to make it even more magical. Dear YouTube family, that's all for today's adventure. I hope you enjoyed the content and found it entertaining, inspiring, or at least a little fun. If you haven't already, consider subscribing and joining our journey. There's a lot more to come, and I'd love to share it with you. Your support means the world and keeps this community alive and growing. Thank you for being part of this. Until next time, stay curious, stay passionate, and keep exploring the worlds we love. Warm regards. 6 Path Weeb.